Hi, my name is Mark Stallard. Welcome to Little Green Man. In Canada, in the UK and other Commonwealth nations, we have a system where we have a House of Commons and a House of Lords. In the Canada, it's called the Senate, but it basically has the same functions and it's kind of handled in much the same way. The House of Commons are supposed to be commoners, people who are not peers of the realm, who are not lords and not ladies, but they are commoners, ordinary working people. Now, the House of Lords you have to be a lord or a baroness at least in order to sit, and then you have to be assigned by the Prime Minister. I think the monarch can assign people to the House of Lords, and you get to sit there as long as until you hit 75, and then you've got to retire. And the Senate is pretty much the same. It is an assigned, it's not democratic at all, not even slightly. That maybe if you've run for office and you've been successful, you're a successful business people, you get to go in the Senate and you're assigned, you're not voted in. Maybe the people that are running the government were voted in, but the Senate was not. The idea is that then the House of Commons, the commoners that don't really know well enough for themselves, pass some laws, and then the people that know what they're doing, the adults in the Senate or in the House of Lords, gets to vet that law and decide, should we let it through or not? So it's really, yes, it's a safety net and it can be useful, but there are very few laws that really the Senate or the House of Lords actually stops, even though it is highly unpopular and they're highly harmful. They get through anyway. Now, the difference and the growth in the House of Lords has actually changed a little bit. So now, of course, it was when it was originally in place, they were literal lords that were born into their nobility. And now people who sit in the House of Lords in the UK are given they're promoted to lordship. They're usually businessmen or politicians, and they get to sit in the House. Same thing with the Senate. Politicians, businessmen, people who already are powerful get assigned to the Senate. So in the olden days, it would have been literal lords. Now it's also lords by blood. Now it's lords by name. And the idea is that with the lords is that originally they were born into it. They were what we call in England what we call old money. Now, old money are actually that rich people that own land, that own property, that not just that don't run businesses necessarily, but they have lots of land. So the lords and the ladies, the peers of the realm. Now we have another thing about is the people, the new money. These are commoners that have got as high as they can in the system, where they now own big, successful, super successful businessmen and women, usually men. And they have become what I would call the corporations and the rich people that own them. Now, in English vernacular, I often heard, whether it was on sitcoms or whether it was in real life, was that the lords and the ladies knew how to conduct themselves. They didn't talk about their wealth too much, particularly early on in the 20th century and before. They tended to kept it to themselves, particularly as the working people got more and more powerful and more involved in politics and were able to control things a little bit better. So the rich people just kept quiet, just kept a low profile. And it was only when the rich people started opening their stately homes, their mansions, for visitors to come in and look, and then they charge a few pounds to get in, that we realised, oh no, they're actually in financial trouble. And it became a cliche in English drama, in the 20th century drama, where these people, the lords, they all still had the posh voice, they all talked properly, had the no chin and the big ears, the inbreeding and all that. But they were always broke, and they always went around with holes in their clothes. And you've probably seen those kinds of shows. But they had a certain decorum, a certain way of holding themselves that was a little bit more classy, if to use the word. Really, they're upper classes, and they acted like they were upper class. Now, the new money, on the other hand, were commoners that didn't know how to handle themselves and that were flaunting. I've got big money, here's a wad of cash, I'll go out buy a big flashy car, look at me. And because of that behaviour, they didn't know how to handle themselves, would tend to be rather rude and obnoxious with it. They come to be called vulgar. So vulgar behaviour. So new money, and the phrase was, new money is vulgar. But now, why I'm talking about this, is that now we have those people who are rich and powerful and already have lots of money, who are now running the House of Commons. Now, while they technically are commoners, they're not lords and ladies, they are still, many of them have lots and lots of money. Or they have lots and lots of money behind them driving them. And we can even see an example as our Prime Minister, who, while he's done some good things, he's got lots of people that want to criticise him, whether justly or not, I'll let you decide. But we have our own royal family. We've got the Trudeaus. We've got Pierre with his son, Justin. You could say that if these are the new peers of the realm, the new money, the new merchant class, as they were called, then surely Justin would be a prince in that analogy there. If they're now the new nobles, the new people that are controlling. In that way, the Trudeaus are very much a royal family, in as much for Canada, in as much as the Clintons and the Bushes are the royal families, also the Kennedys as well, are the royal families in the US. And that's certainly how we've heard them mentioned in throughout the past several years. I mean, this is nothing new. I'm not bringing anything new here. Now, the problem is that now we've got more and more money coming into politics. You've got these powerful people becoming more and more involved, and they are now in our house, this house that belongs to us, the common people, the people that don't already control the country, that don't already control the land, and they are now controlling our houses. Now, the House of Commons is also the houses and the local governments that we have in the legislature here in Manitoba, your provincial legislature. And then you'll have your municipal governments and so on. And in England, you'll have your county councils and your borough councils. These should be run by us, the commoners, the people that live here, the people that work, and the people that are part of the community. These houses belong to us. The House of Commons. That's who it belongs to, and that's who it may not necessarily be historically accurate to say that the commoners really ran the country, but it's got our name on it. Let's take that house back. It bears our name, because if we don't take it back, we're in trouble. Right now, we've got the provincial government here in Manitoba want to add more and more money into politics, raising the limits of what you can spend, taking the possibility of running for government, making it harder and harder for people who have regular paying jobs, cannot afford to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 a year to back your political party. But guess who can? It's that new money, that vulgar new money that wants to force its will on the rest of us. So it's coming to that point where if you don't have any money, you don't get represented. No money, no representation. That is really where it all comes back. So it's time to take back those houses that bears our name. And let's put back into the house the commoners who work hard, who take all the effort, but yet get little in return. And let's put us back in our house. Let's claim it back. It's time to oust the rich people and who have already taken control. And now they can keep the House of Lords, they can keep the Senate, at least for the time being anyway. Let those people that have bag loads of money go to the Senate. But leave the House of Commons for us. It's time for us to take it back, because they're not going to give it. So that is what we need to do. The call to action, Goyagi, is get involved in politics. Write letters, protest, call a representative, join a party. Why don't you run for office or help someone else run for office? Support someone that you care about, a party, join a political party or independent, it doesn't matter. Just get off your arse and get involved. And let's take the House of Commons and those Common House back for those of us who belong there. Little Green Man. Hey, before you leave, don't forget to click the subscribe button and click the little notification icon-y thing at the bottom, because you don't want to miss out on what these guys are going to do to you next week.